Okay, I saw this article a couple of days ago, and this is in the Huffington Post, and it reads Ben Carson removes anti discrimination language from HUD mission statement. And so this is a big concern. This is going back to the incident where a lot of people were concerned about how people who are on these social programs, such as Section 8 and some of the other housing authority programs, how it would affect them. And I thought this was rather interesting because this article pretty much speaks for itself. It says it will no longer reference inclusiveness in communities free from discrimination. Hearing that, what that means is it's pretty much bringing that climate back where it's a play on words, where if you remove certain things in mission statements and certain things in, clauses or, um, what your program entails, you could possibly face discrimination. So here's the article, how it explains it. So in Washington, Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson is changing the mission statement of his agency, removing promises of inclusiveness or inclusive, which means to include all people, and discrimination-free communities. And so what communities are going to be hit hardest with that? We already know. So in a March 5th memo addressed to HUD political staff, Amy Thompson, the department's assistant secretary for public affairs, explained that the mission statement is being updated. So in an effort to align HUD's mission with the secretary's priorities and that the administration, the new mission statement will read, and so this is what it will read. HUD's mission is to ensure Americans have access to fair, affordable housing and opportunities to achieve self-sufficiency, thereby strengthening our communities and nation. It doesn't sound threatening at all, but if you leave out certain things, it's a play on words. If you leave out certain things, then it can open the door for discrimination and for uninclusiveness. So an organization mission is never static. So Thompson wrote in the memo, which was shared by Huffington Post by a HUD employee, a mission statement describes an organization's purpose and what it intends to do and whom it intends to serve. So most importantly, an organization's activities must embody in its mission, which is the mission statement tells you what they're about. And so to go on, she says the mission statement has been developed with an input of both Carson and his deputy. It's not clear whether the new language is final, so Thompson asked the political staff to send along any comments or suggestions. The Carson's mission statement is quite different from the current one, which is still up on the HUD's website. So I'll read that one so you can compare the two. If you want to go to this article, its title is right above here. It says, Ben Carson's receives anti-discrimination language from HUD mission statement. Or he removes this. He removes the statement. So it goes on to say that it also says that these communities will be free from discrimination. On this statement, that's the old statement. See the woman talking. It's from the awards. So the old statement reads, HUD's mission is to create strong, sustainable, inclusive communities and quality, affordable homes for all. HUD is working to strengthen the housing market to bolster the economy, protect consumers, and meet the needs for quality, affordable rental homes, utilizing housing as a platform for improving quality of life to build inclusive and sustainable communities free from discrimination and transform the way HUD does business. Now, what is the old one or the new one? That's the old one. So the new one is it's shorter and more, you know, brief. It says HUD's mission is to ensure Americans make America great again. Ensure Americans have access to fair, affordable, and it just says fair, but who to whom? Affordable housing and opportunities to achieve self-sufficiency, thereby strengthening our communities and nation. And so the other one, read it again. HUD's mission is to create strong, sustainable, inclusive communities and quality, affordable homes for all. So it sounds a little more welcoming, this one here. This is the older one that he wants to get rid of. HUD is working to strengthen and house the housing market to bolster the economy and protect consumers, meet the need for quality, affordable rental homes, utilize housing as a platform to improving quality of life, build inclusive and sustainable communities free from discrimination, and to transform the way HUD does business. That sounds more welcoming, more inclusive, more kinder, not as bland. This is very short and bland, and it doesn't really. Notice it says Americans. You notice that? Americans. So it's getting rid of certain individuals. So we know what that all entails. So HUD spokesman Rafi Williams said that officials were considering modest changes to the mission statement, as has been done in previous administrations, to make it more clear and concise. So clear and concise is something that's a little more to the point. So this, the less words you use, but clear and concise. So yeah, it is clear and concise, but when you do a play on words like that, especially in government, it can open the door for many things to occur that you wouldn't believe. So you can also say, well, since you don't have discrimination in there anymore, and you don't have, there's a couple of words in here that, protect consumers, bolster the economy, certain words, quality, affordable, things like that. Those words are not in this new statement. Notice that? And it also in here, it says Americans. And the other one doesn't have Americans. It has in here strong, sustainable, inclusive communities and quality, affordable homes for all. Okay. It doesn't say for Americans. Okay. So you can tell where this is headed. So I just wanted to give you all a clue of where this whole thing is headed. So you can be sure that one thing is for certain. Okay. Any mission statement for the department will embody the principle of fairness and a central element of everything that we do. HUD has been and is and now and will always be committed to ensuring inclusive housing free from discrimination for all Americans, William added. But you have to stress Americans, okay? So I just want you to see, some of you people. So HUD is not only a federal agency changing its mission under President Donald Trump. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Director recently informed employees that it was removing the phrase America's promise as a nation of immigrants. Okay, here we are to this issue. And so from its mission statement, so it would move that. So it's not even including that. It just leaves it as Americans up here. So are you at a federally agency that is changing its mission statement as well? Email us, okay? So under President Barack Obama, HUD made advances to lesbian and gay and bisexual, transgender, and queer rights priorities. So Sean Donovan, who served as Obama's first, he was HUD secretary, and he was the first sitting cabinet in the history to publicly support marriage equality. So the agency worked to prohibit discrimination by HUD's funded housing authorities, recognizing states' local laws that are more LGBTQ, BTQ friendly, and federal ones that have raised awareness of resources available to people who are in the gay community. So Carson has also had a long history of making comments opposing equal rights to people who are in the gay community, of course. New York Magazine recently reported that under Carson, HUD had pulled projects that meant to help people from LGBTQ communities. Also, so no immigrants, no LGBTQ people is what it's looking like. So, which included an online training materials for homeless shelters and to ensure equal access for transgender people. So, self-sufficiency has been a major focus of Carson. Last year, he said that he didn't want low-income Americans receiving federal assistance to feel comfortable in their housing, making it an issue where it might make them say, I'll stay here, they'll take care of me. So that was Carson's statement. In December, he announced a new initiative that would put Envision centers. And so HUD Secretary Carson launches these centers to drive households to self-sufficiency, which those are positive things. I'm not going to self-sufficient because these programs, you should treat them as their temporary help. But the part of changing the mission statement might be very questionable because as to how people will get treated, because when you're trying to weed out one or two groups, you might end up also weeding out other people. You know, it raises opportunities for people who have biases and stereotypes against people who are, they may not be, you know, from out of the country, or they may not be in the gay community, but they may be Black, or they may be somebody who maybe they are naturalized citizen, they speak a different language, but they're treated as though they're not an American, even though they're a naturalized citizen of the country. So you could still be discriminatory to people who you think are not American are in fact Americans. So it doesn't make it right either, you know. So Carson recently also came under scrutiny about a situation where his office was sent some redecorating furniture. It was priced at $31,000. It was a dining room set. Now, scrutiny behind it. So the secretary has claimed that he knew nothing about the order. So someone had ordered furniture, and I guess people were questioning why were they using the money for things like that. And so this is Amanda Turkle, Washington Bureau Chief of Huffington Post. So the story has been updated with a comment from the HUD department. So, you know, it just raises questions as to, you know, what are they really trying to do here? So they really, I can say this, that a lot of that, and it looks like they've done pretty much a good job of that, you know, and I'm not saying agreeing with it. I'm just saying it looks like that they have in full force have done things and made provisions to erase a lot of things that he's created, and DACA is one of them. And so this right here shows the sentiment that this country is headed to, that it is not as inclusive. So if you want to read this article, it is located in the Huffington and its title is right before you. And so, yes, folks, anybody that is involved in any social programs such as the HUD, or if you're, you have to know that if you're not in that safe zone, that it could very well affect you. Or depending on what neighborhood you're looking for housing, it could possibly affect you. Um, he's going for, what he claims to be in for Americans, but it could also still open the door for discrimination in other areas. So it doesn't surprise me. It just seems like they keep moving and moving and moving. So also, I don't know if anybody has read about this. America's promise as a nation of immigrants is being removed from um, a statement as well. And so I read that earlier. Is America a nation of immigrants? So that's in the New York Times. So you see that that's probably not going to sound well for many people. And then some people's like, oh, well, if you're not an American and if you don't do things the legal way, then you have to do something about it to go through the steps of doing that. And so this is a whole nother article right here, but maybe I'll copy it and include it in the bottom as an additional article. But I noticed that whole thing was coming up as well. And so that sounds like they really have worked hard to change a lot of things. And I would say a lot of laws, there are going to be some more things that are going to be changed. And I read something recently. Now, I don't know how this could possibly affect California at all, but this is outside of this issue. But we're trying to change the daylight savings time, so that now that it can be all year, and from then that point on they don't have to change it ever again. So I'm wondering if it works over there, will it also come to the other states? So that's another issue as well. And I believe they're fighting over that because they said the daylight savings time was created for saving energy. And so as we've heard about those talks that, there's no global warming, that it doesn't exist. And the purpose for saving energy was to conserve energy, of course, which has to do a lot with, some of the impact on, all the homes, how we conserve our energy and how we utilize our resources, anything from lights to water to gas and all that. And so there's a lot of things that are a lot of changes that are being made, changes that people don't even realize that are happening literally overnight. So if you are interested in this was the article that I was speaking on. They all coincide. So even little phrases, play on words like this, have a big, big, you know, um, impact on how they do business in these organizations. So, and the play on words, it's very important what you say in things is how people will approach a situation. Well, with that being said, thanks for listening.